It begins with a chill that slides through the streets like a whisper, one of those damp London mornings when the air itself feels heavy. But this morning in December of 1952 is different. The cold is sharp, yes, but the mist has a weight to it, thicker, clinging to coats and hair, curling along the cobblestones in slow, reluctant swirls. At first it is only a gray haze, the kind Londoners have known for centuries, the kind they call pea soupers, born from the marriage of fog and coal smoke. But as the hours pass, the haze deepens. By midday, it is not haze at all. It is a wall, a curtain. The city is dissolving into yellow-brown murk, so dense you can barely see the glow of a street lamp 2 paces away. And somewhere in that silence, something lethal has crept into the lungs of 9 million souls. London is no stranger to fog. For generations, coal has been the city's heartbeat, burned in homes, in factories, in the great power stations that keep the metropolis alive. It hangs in the air, a constant backdrop, so familiar that most people barely notice it. But on the evening of December 4th, 1952, a perfect storm of weather and human habit begins to brew. A high-pressure system settles over the Thames Valley, pressing a blanket of cold, stagnant air over the city. At the same time, a bitter frost drives people indoors to burn more coal than usual. Much of it the cheaper, dirtier variety rich with sulfur. Smoke from chimneys, soot from trains, fumes from buses. All of it rises into the sky and finds no wind to carry it away. Instead, it mingles with the natural fog until the air becomes a toxic soup of sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxides, and soot particles. The fog thickens until it isn't just in the streets, but in the shops, in the theaters, in the very hallways of hospitals. It seeps under doors, creeps through keyholes, and wraps itself around every breath. By the second day, the city moves in slow motion. Buses crawl forward with conductors walking ahead, lanterns in hand, to guide the way. Drivers grip their wheels, unable to see beyond the hood of their cars. Pedestrians stumble in the gloom, vanishing from view after only a few steps. It is so dense that even indoors, lights glow dim and sickly, as if someone has draped the city in gauze the color of old nicotine. The air stings, eyes water, throats scratch. People cough and think little of it at first, but the hospitals begin to fill. Those with asthma or bronchitis find themselves fighting for air. The elderly and the very young seem especially vulnerable, their lungs no match for the invisible poisons filling them. Yet the fog stays, unmoving, as though the city has been placed under a bell jar. For 4 long days, London becomes a place suspended between shadow and sickness. Livestock kept in the city, for the markets choke and die in their pens. The ambulance service struggles, not just with the crush of the sick, but with the sheer impossibility of travel through air this thick. Funerals are delayed, not by grief, but because gravediggers can't see the path to the cemetery. In some neighborhoods, you can't see your own feet when you look down. And then, just as suddenly as it came, the wind returns. On the 9th of December, the high-pressure lid lifts, and the toxic fog begins to break apart, dispersing into the winter sky. London exhales, those who can still breathe deeply enough to feel relief. Life stirs again in the streets, and the city returns to its ordinary gray, but nothing is quite the same. The fog has left a body count in its wake. At first, the government estimates the deaths at around 4,000. Later studies will push that number much higher. Over 12,000 lives cut short. Tens of thousands more left with lasting damage to their lungs and hearts. It is one of the deadliest environmental disasters in modern history. And yet it came without fire, without flood, without a sound louder than a cough. Its weapon was the very air people trusted to keep them alive. The Great Smog forces a reckoning. Public outrage rises like a tide against the smog that so many had accepted as simply part of London. In the years that follow, laws change. The Clean Air Act of 1956 is born directly from those 4 days, banning the burning of certain types of coal in cities, mandating smokeless zones, and beginning the slow transformation of London's air. Still, the questions linger. How could such a thing happen in a modern capital without warning? Could it happen again? Some scientists point to climate patterns, to the confluence of weather, industry, and human behavior. Others note that even decades later, the world is far from safe. Pollution is quieter now, more invisible, but no less deadly. And beyond the science, the smog leaves a deeper, more unsettling truth, that in all our mastery of machines and cities, we remain at the mercy of the air itself. There are memories from those days that never fade for those who lived through them. A shopkeeper who kept a handkerchief tied across her face and still coughed black for a week. A policeman who lost his way just walking a single block from his post. A mother who lit candles in the daytime so her children wouldn't cry in the gloom. They speak of it in hushed tones, not because they fear it will return, but because they remember how small it made them feel. How powerless. Now, more than 70 years later, London's fog has lost its killer's edge. But the photographs remain, ghostly shapes of buses emerging from the void, lamplight swallowed whole, faces peering out of darkness like old portraits. And sometimes on certain damp winter mornings, when the mist curls low over the Thames, those who know the story glance upward, as if to check whether the fog is just fog, or if something darker is walking with it. Thank you for walking with me through this shadow in history. If the air around you turned thick and strange, would you trust the world to warn you? Or would you know in your own bones that something was wrong? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this journey into the unknown, please like, comment, and share. It truly helps keep these stories alive.